You're on Heroes for Sale. We are back for episode 57 after a bit of a relocation, Stu. How are you finding the new digs on Symonds Street?
We're just absolutely loving it. It's just been so fantastic. So much better than we could have hoped for. We know plenty of our regulars have sort of slowed down a little bit on their visits because we don't have dedicated parking. But they're still paying online and still picking everything up, so it hasn't stopped their interest in comics or anything silly like that. But my God, how many people live in this area? I just can't believe the amount of foot traffic on Symonds Street. It is, there's just always people in the shop, and they're all really interested and they're all really excited by what we're doing. And they love that, we're a retail shop, and the front 2-3 meters is a giant fake cherry tree with a Totoro under it. It's like, do you guys know what you're doing?
Best
I hope
use of
so.
space. Best use of space.
Yeah.
Hey, got you in the
Yeah.
shop, didn't it? Come on.
Yeah. So we've been really well received locally, and I'm really happy.
Excellent, man.
with how
Excellent. The
everything's going.
shop looks great too. If you haven't had
Yeah.
a chance to get in yet, go and visit on Symonds Street. It's right on that block on the corner at the top of Newton Gully there, opposite the Edinburgh Castle. It's on that block on the other side, and it feels so much more like a store than Newmarket did.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're in an eclectic little block, So there's Bungalow Bills, there's the music store just over the road, there's Southdown Records just over the road and down a bit. There's a kite shop. Good God, Auckland's got a kite shop, man.
Hard to find bookshop.
Hard to find bookshop, and there's
Yeah.
Cakes and Ladders where you come in and you pay $6 an hour to rent tables, and they've got all these board games that you can use for free.
How
Just
good.
play board games and drink coffee and stuff. So it's a real cool little hub, and I'm just really ecstatic with how we've been received. It's cool.
Superb, man. Superb. No, I'm loving the new shop. I recommend getting in and having a nosy around. There's so much more artwork out of your collection up on the walls to look at and things like that as well. So it's just a more interesting space all around, I think.
Yeah, and that'll grow. We've got more of that to come.
Excellent, mate. All right, well, let's get into some books. We have got a whole bunch to get through. Starting with a new one, Absolute Power Ground Zero, which is technically, I think, a 4-shot from DC.
This is the one-shot prelude to everything. So then from this, there's Absolute Power, which is a 4-parter. There's Absolute Power Task Force, which is 7 parts, and then the obligatory, and half of Batman and half of Superman, Wonder Woman, etc. As far as events and crossovers go, I think this has been fantastic. And as with all of these kind of comics, whenever you do an event like this, the strength of it comes down to the villain. And when the villain comes from within, that's when it's so much better, isn't it? Because how long have they had to plan? And so the villain in this, folks, is Waller and Suicide Squad. So she's basically decided she's going to take down everything superpowered, and she's been planning for a very, very long time. And she's covered every base. And it's been fantastic. And it's one of those things that it's set up really well. And then it's all going to be resolved because you have to have a Superman comic in 2 months' time. So somehow she has to be defeated. So there then becomes I'm genuinely interested to see the shape of the DC universe afterwards, because what happens to the Suicide Squad. So, and they've had some great one-shot books come out in the last couple of years as well. They've had some awesome titles.
This book, Absolute Power Ground Zero, it's 3 chapters, right? Which is giving you the 3 branches. So you're dealing with 3 different writing and artistic teams as well.
Yeah, showing how well Waller has planned the whole thing is what that's about. So the lead-ins before the actual main story event starts. I think it was just cool.
Yeah, I mean, there have been these event type things in Marvel and DC before, and some have hit and some have missed. But this, I know it's early doors, but this feels like a hit book 1.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. It's because of the villain, and this time there's stakes. No matter if you have the biggest alien armada coming into the planet, and if you defeat them, the alien armada is gone, and you can rebuild the planet, and that's that, and everything goes back to normal, no matter what it is. But in this situation, there cannot be the status quo afterwards. So there has to be, there will be consequences to at least at the end, and the way she's playing this out, maybe throughout. Someone may die, Ricardo. I mean, no one dies in comics, so that doesn't matter. But I wouldn't mind seeing a couple maybe a heavyweight could get popped off here.
Yeah, well, actually, that would be interesting. That would be interesting because and I don't want to give anything away, but there is a panel towards the end where you're like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about, don't you?
Oh, I'm flicking now. Yeah, I'm flicking. Yes, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like I said as well, they've got some of the heavyweight riders, Mark Wade and Chip Zdarsky, Josh Williamson's in here as well.
And you know what? I'm gonna give big credit to DC. They backed themselves on this. They did a really good retailer incentive because as a retailer, you never know how these things are going to bust, right? So we sent out our emails saying to people, hey, you want to get this, and we had a pretty good response. And then they turned around and they said, look, if you meet this threshold, is it for $25, we'll give you 25 copies at $1 each over that threshold. And you're like, then I got to sell 20. I got to sell quite a bit more. But if I can, it's a good turn of profit on that. So I took the punt and went for this, and we're going to max through.
Excellent.
Their initiative has worked out because it is a good comic, and we've sold a lot online. So I think there's been a lot of online chatter about this with people. Oh, it's another bullshit, and people go, actually, no, this one's quite cool. Yeah, and I, as I said, I put it straight down. It's the villain. It's always the villain, man. You gotta have it. You gotta get that right, folks. And they did.
Always the villain, and they've done it well. It is absolute power, ground zero through DC. Amanda Waller, the villain.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to this one from Image, and this is an old title reborn, if you like. It's something I'd seen a lot, but had no idea about the lore or anything behind, and that is Witchblade.
Yeah, so this is one of those 80s and 90s comics that used to have quite a lot of covers, and Sarah Pizzini, I can't remember her exact name. She was the Witchblade, Pizzini, yeah, and it went for a while. It sold a lot, and Image has started to bring back some of their older titles. So they did it with Lady Mechanic's coming back again, but I mean that sort of thing has a sort of more 4-year hiatus than a big one like this. There's just been a few of them, but they're doing this, and it's really, really weird one because I'm looking at them going, who's the market? Like people who were buying Witchblade 20 years ago, a few of them have gone, oh yeah, I'll check it out again. So we've read this, and I've gone through it and gone, if I was reading Witchblade, would I be down with this? Because you always want more. And then as I'm holding up to you, Ricardo, this is what I've been reading. And folks, it's the Strontium Dog hardcover from 1970s. And I've got to tell you, mate, the art, compared to today, the art is shit. And I think it's just fabulous. Like rereading this, I just think it's just the most beautiful thing you could ever see. But I can appreciate that a new comic reader looking at it would go, what are you on, man? I'm like, dude, that's my childhood. Those are the images I grew up reading. So would people be down with that for Witchblade with new stories? I guess so, because I would take that artwork with new stories.
Yeah, well, the artwork is superb. Yeah, the artwork is superb. And I've got to say, too, the artist is a guy called Giuseppe Cafaro, an Italian artist. Yeah. And I don't know if you picked up on this, Stu, and I know this is great podcasting because you guys can't see it, but trust me, go in store, pick up a copy of Witchblade 1 and go to the creative team panel, because Giuseppe Cafaro, there's a picture of him right there, right? Right, and then if he's got like a beanie on, he's got a beard, a bit of a mustache, and then if you look at one of the villains who shoots Witchblade,
yeah,
he's drawn himself as a villain in the comic. It's great. I looked at that when I went and looked at the creative panel. I went, hang on a minute, had to go back and I was like, well done, that man.
That's you. It's you. You're the killer. I like it. I like it a lot.
But this is very much, it's a launch issue 1, and it's a thick book. Like, what is it? It must be a 34-pager. But the story's really only the first half, and then they give you lots of background, and they give you lots of different art panels and all the different covers, and they talk about why they're doing it too, which is quite cool.
Yeah, and it's Marguerite Bennett. is the writer. So she writes really good female characters. She's known for that. So she'll have a following for it as well. So we've ordered medium on it because we didn't get pre-orders, but I think this is one we need to have on the table. It's sold pretty well off the table. It's an interesting one. I'm going to see how it goes because especially with the new location, as I said, we've got a lot more walk-ins. So because it's a female lead, kick ass. It's modern day Xena, isn't it? It's really what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
she's sword swashbuckling, and no one's going to mess with her because she's got the sword and the power, baby.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all. She's gold. She's surrounded by fire. There is something that looks like Terminator skulls with red eyes in one corner. I mean, the cover actually almost looks more like a movie poster, doesn't it? The way it's composed.
Yeah,
like
and that's
80s movie posters. Yeah, it's cool.
Mate, that's just Silvestri cookie cutter art. It's everyone he draws looks like all of those people on that page, and people wet themselves for it. And I just like, okay, brother. Love your work.
But like you say, foot traffic, right? If you uninitiated like I am with Witchblade and you walk past it and you see it, it catches the eye. You're gonna pick it up and have it.
And we've always got back issues of Witchblade. It's always one that comes in with image collections, and you pay a couple of bucks for them, and there's always some in the shop that people browse through and pick out. Old issues of Witchblade do. A lot of females come in when they're looking for them. They do pick up Witchblade and Tomb Raider. Those are popular characters. So,
yeah. So Witchblade, the relaunch, it's pretty cool. I enjoyed the setup story, so I'd be interested to see where she takes it from here. Let's move on, mate, because your good friend and one-time customer, Gerard Way, has got a new book.
WTF, mate? What are you? Also, Umbrella Academy season 4 comes out on Netflix next week or the week after, depending when this drops. I don't know how long it's going to take you to edit it, but it's out in like 10 days or something from when we're doing this. So excited for that because there wasn't an Umbrella Academy Volume 4 graphic novel. So that was a big surprise. Anyway, and the reason I'm bringing that up is because Gerard Way obviously wrote Umbrella Academy graphic novels, and this, folks. Chris Weston is doing the art, and if you've read Grant Morrison and Chris Weston's Filth, this has a feel to it like that. It could have been a chapter in Filth. You could have easily been reading Filth, got to this, and read this, and not questioned that it was a part of Filth at all, and expected some of the questions that came up in this comic to be answered later on in Filth, which by the way is coming back out next week, and that's a fantastic book as well. This is just insane.
Oh, mate, it's
what are they in?
They're in a retirement home.
It is a retirement home, right? Because Sue and I were debating that, and I was like, of course it is. It's either that or a it's a mental institute, but I reckon retirement home. Yeah,
but it's not a retirement home for. Well, I'm not sure about the world because he hasn't built the world out yet, so we really only know about the retirement home. But it feels like maybe the people in the world are former superheroes, or
I don't know if this. Well, it felt to me like a mix of humans and aliens.
Yeah, there was definitely an alien element to it.
I don't know if there was a superhero element to this. I didn't get that vibe from the comic. I thought it was just.
Well, I mean, the reason I say I said that is because the one guy who shouldn't be in a retirement home that they bring in that looks like Charlie Sheen in a Shazam outfit. Is shooting lasers out of his eyes. So I kind of went, maybe that's why he's there.
Which is why I said before, this could have been 22 pages inside Grant Morrison's Filth, and no one would have batted an eyelid. This would have just made perfect sense inside there. You could almost read these two comics interspersed, and it wouldn't. It's the same artist. It would make perfect sense.
If you can make perfect sense of this, you're doing well. To be honest, because I read it and I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. I was like, okay, all right, yep, okay, all right, yep, okay, that's funny, I like that, yeah, that's interesting. Got to the end, I was like, I have no fucking idea what just happened. Where is this going, or what is happening?
I think it's you've got an idea of what's going on. I think the big confusing part is where is this going on? It's the where, isn't it? So. And then even the last page, though, this monkey guy running through it, that motif, he's just
That's that echoes Umbrella Academy a
Mate,
little bit, doesn't it?
oh, dude, this is my favorite comic of the year. I just absolutely loved this. I've digested it a couple of times and gone through it. I still have got no idea what it's about, and I'm really grateful for that. I think in another couple of reads I'll understand it, and then I'll be disappointed because at the moment I'm enjoying just reading the confused, crazy mess that it is and the space that they're in.
We've got about another 3 weeks before issue 2 is out, right? August 21.
Yeah.
So we've got a few weeks to wait till we kind of flesh out the world a bit more. But yeah, the artwork is fantastic. I love the artwork.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah.
And there are some layers here because the book starts and ends with the monkey guy.
Yeah.
And then so you like it starts with the monkey guy and you think, where's this going? And then you're in the retirement home. And then at the end it kind of full circles it a little bit to tie that together.
Yeah. So often when they do these kind of crazy world stories, you get an artist who's edgier, or who does, and you seldom get just great fine line that just draws it like you sometimes just want to see it. So I love Chris Weston, and I love that he gets the crazy and he fills it up in that way. So, folks, I can't give a higher recommendation than Paranoid Gardens by Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance and Umbrella Academy fame. He's a talented young man, or middle-aged man by now, yes. And yes, I did meet him in my shop many years ago. He came in and he bought multiple copies of The Watchmen prior when he was here for Big Day Out prior to writing the soundtrack or recording the soundtrack to that, which is Desolation.
Yeah, which is a great story. Love that story. Paranoid Gardens, Dark Horse Comics. It is through Gerard Way, as Stu's just mentioned. Get it, read it, get it in your head, and then try and figure out what the hell's happening and let us know because we're not sure either. All right, let's move on, Stu. What do we got here?
What do you mean you haven't read it?
Yes, and this is one that I was aware of because you've mentioned it in passing before and given me the down low on what it is, but I hadn't actually read it. So my first time reading Chew by John Layman and Rob Gilroy, Volume 1, Taster's Choice, and this is some batshit crazy shit as well, Stu. It's really cool, really entertaining, and quite funny.
It's really funny, and it's one of the things I like about it is it's really, really violent, but the style of animation is almost that. Who did Powerpuff Girls and Samurai Jack was Tedeschi? Is that his name? It's almost got that style of artwork, so it's kind of not offensive. But there's a scene with a guy getting a cleaver in the side of his head, and there's a scene with a guy eating someone's face, and it's all funny. It's just you just laugh at that. It's, oh, look at that, it's really funny because the story is about a guy who, if he eats things, he gets clues. He ingests the history of the food, and he can sense who has touched it and what has happened to them and where the plant was grown and all sorts of stuff. And he's a cop, and he uses that for the power of good. And throughout that, John Layman has woven an incredible story.
It's a great story. Like you say, I mean, it's set in a Fed type situation, or the Federal Drug and Food Bureau, or whatever they are, agency. And so it's in a world where chicken has been outlawed, right? Because there's an avian flu that's killed. It's a bit COVID-y, to be fair.
Yeah,
killed hundreds of millions of people around the world, so they banned people eating chicken, and now it's gone underground. So there are speakeasy chicken restaurants and things like that. And so the FDA are all powerful trying to shut this down. But so it's done like that, but very tongue-in-cheek with the way that it is done, and the characterization of the characters are great. Savoy, who's his partner in the FDA, is a great character. I rate him; he's cool, and just some of the things, and I don't want to give too much away, but at one point, to get a clue, he has to eat things, right? And there's this burger place, and there's a rancid, rotting human finger found in a burger, and they're like, basically his boss, who hates him, is like, you're gonna have to eat it so we can figure out who it belongs to. And so he eats it, and it's obviously a struggle, and he barfs into his trash can.
I love how he also, before he eats it, his boss has got to give him the "you do it for America, son" speech.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
it goes from "I don't want to do that" to "you'll do this for your country and you'll love it."
Oh, so he does all that. He eats and he baths and things, feeling sorry for himself, sat on the ground, and he tells them what he's learned. And his boss is like, "Not bad, rookie. That matches up with our fingerprint and DNA analysis." He's like, "What?"
He knew it all.
So yeah, it's got a lot of that sort of humor about it. But yeah, I really enjoyed Chew, man. It was a superb read. It's good fun and with some really twisted ideas in it.
It's a comic that knows it's a comic, you know, and they've built a fantastic world around it. You know, or not a world, but they've, you know, this multi-layered extra element of society through it. These, what do they call them, chibopaths or cibopaths, people who can who have this kind of weird power or ability, whatever you want to call it, and then the you know, the story to exploit this crazy idea that, man, it's one of those things that's kind of, it only works in comics, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You could animate it, but what's the point? It doesn't need to be done. This is the story here and now. I think it's, yeah, Chew's fantastic, and it's a really popular comic. We sell a lot of it.
Yeah. I mean, if you like police drama type things, well, not drama, it's probably not, but like you know, if you like police investigative type things, but you like a bit of humor as well, this is a sitter for you.
Yeah, what's that? Boston 911.
Yeah, Brooklyn 911.
Yeah, if that's your kind of show, then this is your kind of comic.
Yeah, it's brilliant. John Layman and Rob Gilroy, Chew. It is through Image Comics, and we've read Volume 1, Taster's Choice. And no doubt, Stu, you've read the whole lot.
Yeah. It's one of those ones that you binge too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I smashed that out in about an hour, to be honest. I could go back and read it again, you know. So yeah, and I'll be back for more, mate. I'll be back for more. Don't you worry.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. All right. Well, are we done? We're back and we're done.
Yeah, we're back. We'll be regular now. We're moved. We're settled. We've got all the stuff done. So and we're getting our, you know, we're on our social media regular. Sue's doing Sue's reviews as haikus on TikTok and Instagram. They're getting their own following for the right or wrong reasons. I don't know. We spend a little bit of time on TikTok to investigate, and we're appalled at what we saw. Is about all I'll say. It's like, what the is this? It was not a place where people should be spending time. So, you know, I guess we've tipped that scale by 0.000001 back the other way.
Yeah. Too good, mate. Too good. Well, like I said, if you haven't been to the new store on Symonds Street, get yourself in there. It's a proper store. You can see everything. There's way more stock there. There's lots of art on the walls and things you can do. So get amongst it. It is a fantastic place and a great store.
We're loving it. Yeah. Cool, mate. Thank you.